Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Of course, you have the Kavanaugh hearings happening right now. You got Cory Booker, who is making a clown out of himself. Apparently, he wants to release a letter that's a classified letter, and he wants to release it. Cornyn's already called him out, saying that running for president is not a reason to release classified information. And the Democrats are really trying to make this an entire circus, and they're making themselves look a little foolish to me. And joining us right now, you've seen him on Fox News and others, former special assistant to the president, Marc Lotter, joining us here on the Chad Hasty Show. Marc, welcome to the show. Appreciate you giving us a call today. You probably heard me just there talking a little bit about what we're seeing in the Kavanaugh hearings. I watched some of this yesterday, and it seems to me he's doing a great job sidestepping the circus and getting his points through clearly, as the Democrats just want to make this a spectacle. Am I reading this right?
Absolutely, and I think actually you might be disrespecting circuses, because this thing is so far over the top. It's such a sideshow, but we got to remember what this is actually about. This is about politics, pure and simple. The Senate Democrats do not want their vulnerable members, of which there are many, to have to vote on this confirmation before the November election, because they lose either way. That's what this is about. They know they've already lost this nomination. The people spoke. They elected Donald Trump to make nominations of justices just like Brett Kavanaugh, who believes in the rule of law as it's written, and not how about a bunch of liberals want it to be.
Yeah, and it seems to me that the Democrats are going, they're still on this Mueller investigation. They're still on the Russian collusion, and all their questions seem to be, most of their questions seem to be going in that direction. And Kavanaugh's doing the best job he can without just, and I respect him a lot, because if it were me on there, I would go off on him, going, "Can you guys not hear me?" Because he's answering the questions of, listen, everyone is going to be held accountable. No one is above the law, and that's how he would look at everything. The Democrats want to make this all about Trump and trying to get rid of the president, correct?
Well, and yeah, they have all these hypothetical theories that still have no basis in reality, because we're still 18 months into it or so, and there's still no evidence of any collusion.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just hypocrisy. It's a joke. What they're trying to do is to divide Americans into making people afraid of someone who actually stands up for the rule of law and how the Constitution is written. And it just really undermines everything that they're doing right now, including their radical run toward angry socialism. It's more based on, dividing people, making people afraid of things, because they can't win on the arguments. When you look at the economy, when you look at jobs, people's paychecks, the fact that NATO members are finally standing up and paying their own fair share, these are the things the president said he was going to get done, and he's doing it.
Visiting with Marc Lotter here on the Chad Hasty Show. I want to ask you about Cory Booker, and this is kind of a developing, storyline that Cory Booker wants to release this email that he says he could get him in trouble with the Senate, where they could even throw him out. It has to deal with racial profiling. Cory Booker says Kavanaugh is going to show that he was sympathetic towards racial profiling towards police. To me, this is probably like anything Cory Booker does. It's going to be about Cory Booker and only about Cory Booker, and much ado about nothing about Brett Kavanaugh, don't you think?
This is all about positioning Cory Booker to run for president in 2020 and capture that angry left, the radicals out there that have taken over that party. He's trying to make himself a martyr. And there is a reason why memos and things like this are considered to be confidential, executive privilege, whatever the term that you want to use, because our leaders, and it's true whether you're a mayor, a governor, a congressman, or even the president of the United States, they have to be able to hear both sides of an issue. You would sometimes ask lawyers or your staff to develop memos in terms of, well, what's the other side going to do? What is their argument? What are they going to say? How do we take that into consideration? Now, I don't know any details about this memo, But the day that our elected officials can't get honest opinions from their staff without fear that it's going to be recklessly used in a political witch hunt later, means our elected officials at every level of government aren't going to be getting the service that they need to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And this is just a circus sideshow. But at the end, it's not going to make a difference. Judge Kavanaugh is going to sail through this confirmation process, and I predict that he will be Justice Kavanaugh when the Supreme Court takes the bench again in the 1st of October.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the only question that I really have out there is how many Democrats will ultimately vote for Kavanaugh. I mean, if this were non-political, I know. But if this is non-political, this would have to be a unanimous vote. I mean, whether you agree with his decisions or not, he's obviously very well qualified for this position, and that it should be a unanimous vote. I don't think it will be. How many Democrats do you think will ultimately vote for Judge Kavanaugh?
Well, last time around with Justice Gorsuch, 3 Democrats, all who are from states the president won and all who are up for re-election this year, crossed over and voted for the confirmation of Justice Gorsuch. I would anticipate you'll probably get that number, something around that number, maybe a couple of more, since there are so many vulnerable Democrats that feel that this is the only way they're going to be able to possibly survive.
Right.
So maybe 3 to 5, but let's remember, it wasn't that long ago, just a couple of decades ago, when Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, of whom conservatives and Republicans have probably zero in common with, philosophically, she was confirmed 96-3.
Yeah, and you're probably not going to see
how many Republicans voted for her that agreed with her, probably with not on no issue.
Exactly.
But she was qualified. That's the nominee of the president. Gone are those days. The Democrats would rather just make this a sideshow circus. And I'm sure it works great for their audience on MSNBC and CNN, but in reality, it's not going to stop anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I let you go, let's look at the political angle of it on the Republican side. What is this? Does this help? Does this give any kind of boost for the Republicans going into the midterms?
I do. I think in many cases it will reinforce to Republicans why they elected the president and that they need strong Republican senators there to make these confirmation votes, whether it be Supreme Court justices or even at the federal and appeals courts levels. The president is making fundamental change that's going to last for a generation to the court system, and we need that to continue. But even bigger so, back to what my original point was, for those vulnerable Democrats, here's the difficult position they find themselves in. If they vote for a highly qualified Justice Kavanaugh, they alienate their angry, radical, protesting socialist base. Mm-hmm. Those people they need to knock on doors and make phone calls and do the blocking and tackling of campaigns. Yeah. If they vote against him to appease that base, they're going to alienate the very voters they need to convince to send them back to office. They cannot win either way.
Yeah, very interesting. And the most interesting thing that I have left to watch for today, since Cory Booker's trying to make a martyr out of himself, is what Kamala Harris will do. Because, those two are trying to get ahead of each other for 2020. And if you've got Booker who's trying to make himself a martyr on this thing, what will she do next? She's got to do another circus act.
No, see if she can one-up him.
Exactly. Hey, Mark, I appreciate your time. Thank you for giving us a call today.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, that's Marc Lotter, former special assistant to the President of the United States, calling in, talking a little bit about the Kavanaugh hearings. Like I said, it's a sideshow. It's a circus on the Democratic side. He's well qualified, and to me, he's been doing a great job trying to answer all the questions. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO.